Let's talk about telephoto lenses. These guys are amazing. They can give you dreamy portraits with creamy background blur, compress an epic mountain range into layers of drama, or capture extreme sports from far away. Personally, I love them because of the unique effects you can't get with any other lens. Flattering compression that makes people look beautiful, and bokeh that melts away the background so that the focus is all on your subject. They make people look their best, and they make mountains look massive. What more could you want? But here's the trade-off. They're heavy, intimidating, and easy to misuse. Today, I'll show you how to shoot with a telephoto lens and get professional results, whether you're using an 85, a 70-200, or something longer like a 100-400. I'm Brenda Bergering, and today, as part of our How to Shoot series, we're diving into telephoto lenses, why they're so powerful, how to choose the right one, how they stack up against other focal lengths, and my best practical tips to help you shoot with confidence. So first, why telephoto lenses are special. Telephotos are known for three big things. Compression, which means they flatten perspective and make backgrounds look closer, which is flattering for portraits and dramatic in landscapes. Background blur, longer focal lengths plus wide apertures equals creamy bokeh, and reach. You can photograph action, wildlife, or ceremonies from a distance without being intrusive. For us, that's been huge at weddings and elopements. A telephoto lens lets me capture intimate moments like tears during the vows without stepping into the aisle or breaking the moment. And out in the mountains, nothing beats a telephoto for making the peaks look stacked and epic. The downsides, telephotos are big and heavy and not exactly stealthy. You can't really hide with one of these on your camera. You need to learn how to manage the weight and the working distance. Let's talk about choosing telephoto lenses because there are a few different categories and each one has its strength. 85mm primes. These are often considered the gateway telephoto. Small, light, affordable, and amazing for portraits. The compression is flattering, the background blur is dreamy, and you don't need a huge bag to carry it. But you're locked into one focal length, 85mm, which brings us to the 70-200mm zoom. This is a workhorse lens for a lot of professionals. Versatile, sharp, and great for portraits, weddings, events, and even landscapes. At 70mm, you can shoot a scene, and at 200mm, you can isolate a subject beautifully. Downside, they're heavy and expensive, but worth it if you need the flexibility, and you don't have to get the lowest aperture options. Which brings us to the 100-400 and other super telephotos. These lenses are all about reach, perfect for wildlife, sports, or compressing big landscapes. They let you capture subjects you can't physically get close to. The trade-off is that they're heavier, slower in low light, and usually pricier, which is why I don't have one here today. Unless we have a shoot that we're gonna rent one for, we don't often work in that realm. Lastly, let's talk about macro and specialty telephotos. Some telephoto lenses double as macro lenses, like a 100mm macro, which gives you compression plus close-up detail. These are great for product work, details at weddings, or creative nature photography. In general, once you get past 85mm, you're in telephoto territory. Most people would call anything from 85mm up to 400mm a telephoto, with 200mm plus often considered super telephoto. So if you're just getting started, an 85 is a great entry point. If you want one lens that does it all, 70-200 is hard to beat. And if wildlife or sports are your passion, then a 100-400 or longer is probably where you should end up. 85 primes often run a few $100s, while 70-200mm zooms can be over $1,000. So your budget may also decide which path makes sense for you first. Let's do a few comparisons. The 85 prime is small, light, and amazing for portraits, but a 70-200 gives you flexibility. You can shoot tighter or looser without changing lenses. A huge advantage at weddings or events. I have a full video on the 85 if you want to see why portraits photographers love it. Now let's talk about the telephoto versus wide or standard lenses like a 35 or a 50mm. Both the 35 and 50mm primes tell environmental stories, showing your subject in context, versus telephotos do the opposite. They isolate your subject and simplify your frame. Both are important tools, just for different purposes. Now, if we're talking telephoto versus super telephoto, like the 100-400, That 100 to 400 is going to give you even more reach for the wildlife or sports, but it's usually slower and heavier. The 70 to 200 f2.8 or even the f4 hits a sweet spot for portraits, events, and general versatility. Finally, let's dig into some tips for shooting with a telephoto. Use compression to your advantage. Step back, zoom in, and let the lens do its magic. Faces look more flattering, backgrounds get pulled in for that dramatic stacked look. One of my favorite tricks is photographing mountains at 200 millimeters or longer. They suddenly look like layers upon layers of peaks instead of just a distant horizon. Next, mind the weight. These lenses are heavy, at least compared to your 35 and 50. For long sessions, you can use a monopod or a tripod or even a hand strap to ease your fatigue. I've definitely felt this after carrying a 70 to 200 around for a 10-hour wedding day. My arms are dead and my back hurts. I'm now selective about when I'm going to use this lens, and I put it away when I'm done. A little thinking ahead and planning makes that possible. Also, it's important to have good body position when shooting all day in general. Wear good shoes, have a quality backpack, get an ergonomic camera carry. Telephoto lenses feel even heavier when you're tired. So even if it sounds like I'm exaggerating here, mind the weight. Next up, play with your framing. Shoot through flowers, trees, or guests at an event. At 200 millimeters or longer, foregrounds melt away into cinematic blur. Some of my favorite telephoto shots have been shot through tree branches or in between people at a ceremony. The blur in the foreground makes the image feel cinematic. Next, stay aware of the light. At f2.8, you're in a good place, but if you're indoors or shooting at dusk, you may need to raise your ISO. Don't be afraid of little grain. Sharp is better than blurry. The last thing you want is to let your shutter speed drop too low, and then you're capturing the camera shake rather than the moment. Ask me how I know. Remember to keep your shutter speed at 1 over the focal length or even faster for those moving subjects. And track action with continuous autofocus. Telephotos are made for sports, wildlife, and fast-moving events. So use AFC and burst mode and let the lens do the heavy lifting. Anticipate the moment. Because telephotos narrow your field of view, you can miss things happening outside the frame. So get in the habit of scanning the scene and anticipating where the action will happen next. So to recap, telephoto lenses are heavy, sometimes pricey, and not always easy to master, but when you get them right, they deliver incredible results. Dreamy portraits, compressed landscapes, and the reach you need for events, sports, or wildlife. Personally, I love telephotos because they help me make people look their best and mountains massive. It's a combination you just can't get with any other lens. What about you? Do you have a favorite telephoto? Is it the classic 85, the versatile 70 to 200, or something longer like a 100 to 400? Drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear what you use. And if you're deciding between an 85 and a 70 to 200, check out some videos below. In the description, you'll find links to my favorite telephoto options from the 70 to 200 pro zooms to lighter alternatives like the f4 versions. Using those links is a great way to support the channel while finding the right lens for you. Don't forget to subscribe for more in this How to Shoot series. I'll see you in the next one.